Everyone's favorite potato-eating doofus is the star of this week's episode of Attack on Titan. What's that? What's that do I hear? Actual character development? Sign me right the hell up. This week's episode of Attack on Titan was pretty damn fantastic. Again, demonstrating that the second season is going to mix things up a little bit more by getting to spend some time with the side characters of the series, who are all awesome. Sasha Blouse was already a fan favorite character, mostly due to her extreme quirkiness, but we actually got to delve a little bit more into her past in this week's episode, and get to learn why she always talks so proper in front of people, why she loves to hoard food, and why she's such a competent soldier, despite the fact that she's an absolute dingus. So the main story in this week's episode of Attack on Titan is that Erwin is pissed, so he has decided to gather all of the members of the Survey Corps, and they're gonna go out on horseback and start slaying some giant red Titan ass. We then go over to the other group, which has been running away from the Beast Titan and his horde of Titans, and a lot of these members of the group are starting to splinter off and go in their own directions to help out the villages. Connie Springer going back to his original village, and Sasha Blouse going to her home village of Dopper, which apparently is this hunting organization that exists in the mountains. And that's when we're treated to this great flashback all about her and her obsession with hoarding food and why she decided to join the military in the first place. In the flashback, we get to see that she always had sort of a voracious hunger. She would always hoard her own food and even fight people over it, including her very own father, in a sequence which is somehow both kind of disturbing and really funny all at the same time. It's like weird how obsessed she actually is with food. I also have to say I love hearing her actual accent. It's kind of reminiscent of a southern accent, if you will, and as someone who actually grew up in the South, that's something that I can appreciate. And this is something that Sasha has always tried to hide from people. She's afraid that she'd be made fun of. Sasha's accent is actually the reason why she acts so formal and proper around people despite her incredibly goofy personality. Something that Ymir actually calls her out for in this week's episode during a flashback sequence, but it only manages to make her closer with her actual teammates, and she seems to take it all in stride, not being bothered by the fact that people think that she's a simple country bumpkin, a hunter from the woods. I also like the fact that Sasha is given a little more depth when we learn that she has a little bit of resentment towards her father, who originally decided that hunting is no longer going to be a way of living for them, and that's when she decides to actually join the military and abandon her father and the village, and she finally makes her return in this episode during the present time, and you can see there's already an ominous warning that there are going to be Titans with these giant footprints leading to her village, and then she arrives at this other village, which apparently is brand new. She walks into this house where this old woman is being eaten alive by this Titan, which is not exactly that big, probably one of the smallest ones that we've seen from the series, but still incredibly intimidating. It's made even more disturbing that this old woman's freaking granddaughter is just sitting there watching this woman get devoured, and she is traumatized as fuck. I will say, the creator of the series knows how to convey a lot of emotion just through the eyes of its characters. You can definitely see that in full force here. It's made even more disturbing when Sasha actually comes up with an axe and tries to chop this thing's damn head off, but it just keeps healing so rapidly, so she decides to grab this girl, run off with her as they run away from the Titan, which gives chase through the woods. That's when she has no choice but to go toe-to-toe with it with a couple of bows and arrows, and she only has a couple of arrows to make this happen, and first she gets one through the neck, then she gets him in the eye, and she only has one arrow left. She has to blind this thing or they're going to be screwed. And right at the last second, she throws the bow away, takes the arrow in hand, and slams it right into the freaking eye socket of this Titan. It's a triumphant moment for her character, not only because she was able to overcome the odds, but she ended up saving this girl, and then suddenly gets reunited with her father, who's riding around the forest, giving horses to those who need them, trying to get them to escape from this forest, which is now filled with all sorts of man-eating Titans. They could have ended the episode right there, and I think it would have been completely satisfying, but they went the extra mile by giving us a nice hook at the very end of the episode. We get to see that Connie Springer has returned to his village, which has been completely destroyed. Probably by the Titans, especially this one creepy one we see at the end of the episode, which has completely crushed his house. It's lying on its back, and it's got one of the most disturbing designs that I've actually seen from any Titan. It's got this, like, normal body, except that its arms and legs are really, really skinny and really malnourished looking, and it's got this really disturbing look on its face as its head is slumped over, and it also appears to have these, like, rib bones which are exploding out from its stomach. The thing is, though, this might not be like a typical Titan. It might even be someone who transformed into a Titan inside of the house. There's a lot of mystery behind what the deal is with this creature, but the absolute look and terror of dread on Connie's face at the end is just ridiculous. I can't wait to see how they're going to start it up in the next episode, where it seems like things are going to pick up just a little bit more. We might even be able to see Eren and Mikasa and Armin getting into frickin' trouble. It's going to be great, especially because they're going along with Levi and their team, and Pastor Nick, who is continuing to keep his mouth shut. Especially about the whole thing with the Titans and the walls, which they kind of get into a little bit more in this episode. The fact that the Titans might be able to, like, use their hardening abilities to, like, empower the walls themselves. Kind of like that weird crystal that's, like, all around Annie. It's still a mystery, but it's got me intrigued and really excited for the next episode. So what's the rundown on this week's episode of Attack on Titan? A triumphant moment for the human spirit. That's the best way to describe this week's episode, especially with Sasha, who just manages to overcome all odds in this episode and turn into a complete badass. Such a bold move to decide to attack that Titan head on like that. I mean, even though she blinded it, that thing could have easily just started chomping down on her, but she still managed to overpower it, and that was a really great moment for her character. I love the fact, too, that you can actually see the terror and fear actually leaving that little girl's eyes when she actually does get picked up by her father and the other people who are riding on horseback, because before, she was just sitting there watching, like, her mother or her grandmother, whoever it was, just getting slowly devoured, and in many ways, that's more disturbing than watching, like, a giant-sized Titan just swallow someone whole, because it basically turns it into, like, a zombie, and it's just really fucked up looking. I didn't even think it was a Titan at first. I just thought it was some sort of mad cannibal. It's really just a huge freaking, like, NBA-style freaking Titan, like just a really tall dude. And it was really creepy, especially the way that he moved, because he just sort of slowly took his time. He was like a serial killer in a horror movie, and it just added to the overall tension in this episode. But aside from that, this was a great way to start giving some good characterization to Sasha Blouse, who before was basically just kind of your side joke character. Now we get to know a little bit more about her past, her motivations, what she feels about her family and lineage, and that adds a lot of depth to her, which I think is going to really impress the Sasha Blouse fans. I really like that we're also getting some stuff with Connie at the very end of the episode. I can't wait to see what the deal is with that weird freaky-deaky Titan they meet at the end of the episode. There's just so much more promise for this second season right here. The only thing that sucks is it's only going to be 12 episodes. We only got 10 more of these things to go. And I don't know if that's going to be enough time. For now, though, let's just enjoy the ride. This was another great episode focusing on one of the best side characters from the series. It had great production value, of course, just like the rest of the series. Some fantastic music moments, like just the music they add when you see all of the horses like exiting and going out with Erwin at the beginning of the episode. That was so freaking awesome. I just love that. This show's definitely got some style. It's not Shakespeare. It's not the deepest writing in the world, but it sure is entertaining as hell. And that's why you should definitely check it out if you're a fan of anime. So, I'm going to give this episode another solid 5 out of 5. It was definitely an entertaining one. You guys should check it out. I love this episode, but I want to hear from you guys. What did you think about this week's episode of Attack on Titan? Are you glad that it focused on the character of Sasha Blouse? Are you a fan of her ridiculous antics? Did you like seeing her overcome her fears in this episode and stab a Titan in the freaking eye with an arrow? What do you want to see from the rest of the second season of Attack on Titan? Please tell me in the comments section. Thank you guys for watching this review. If you would like to help Super Comic Guru 9000, best way to do it is subscribe to the channel. That way you'll be able to see all of our latest anime and manga reviews, including everything Attack on Titan related. Make sure to also leave me a comment, as I would love to talk with you guys about this week's episode. I'm always down for a good conversation. And of course, if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. You didn't like it? Give it a thumbs down. I'll see you guys next time. And as always, stay dandy, baby!